If you have a job you don't like and you want to get out and do your own thing, I'm going to tell you, it's not that hard. I'm not selling a product. I'm not selling a program. I've done this for years, and I've worked at so many places where people wanted to get out and they just wouldn't ever take that step. They had to keep their foot on first, and they would never steal second base because they were scared. Has to be that they didn't have a good plan, or they didn't have confidence in whatever it is they were planning, or they were in a circumstance that wouldn't allow them one check skipped, or they'd be bankrupt. So I'm going to give you the dozen rules or so that I've come up with over the years that pretty much guarantee that you're going to be able to make it on your own if you leave the job that you don't like. So, not in order of importance necessarily, but every one of these really matters. And I'm going to start with a basic one, which is you need to stay in one place. When you stay in one place, you start to grow roots, you start to get to know people, you start having connections that can feed your business. It doesn't matter how good the soil is or how healthy the tree is. If you dig it up and you start over every 1 or 2 years, you are never going to get fruit. You have to stay in one place. That is something that I suffered not knowing, and I paid for that. And it really is crippling. So staying in one place is super important. The next thing you have to do before you can be free is you have to develop a skill set. It doesn't matter if you want to be a carpenter, or you want to be a mechanic, or if you want to be a landscaper, or you want to paint hot rods and build cars and do a collision shop. It doesn't really matter what it is you want to do. You have to have a skill set. You get a skill set by reading everything you can get your hands on, by watching YouTube videos, by going to forums, picking people's brains, by hanging around shops, and yes, having that job, working at the shop as the lackey or the gopher or the laborer, to not work cheap, but to learn everything you can from what's going on around you. When you see the painter losing his mind in the shop, it doesn't matter if all you do is prep the booth for him. Figure out why he's freaking out. You're going to learn something. If you want to be a painter, you need to know that stuff. So develop your skill set. The next thing is you have to learn to sell. It's foolish to expect that you're going to start your own business and it's going to just carry its own weight by the phone ringing off the hook. Have you ever priced putting an ad in the phone book? Have you ever priced advertising on the radio, on television, in the newspaper? It's stupid, ridiculous, expensive. Nothing is as effective as personal selling. You can get so good at it. You can go to any major parking lot at a fairly decent store. And Home Depot is a perfect example. People go in there who are homeowners, who are working on their houses, and if you see a nice old Mustang sitting there and you hustle the guy up and say, "Hey, do you want to sell that?" And he says, "Well, no, I'm going to keep it. I love it. I'm going to rebuild it." Then you start talking about, "Well, if I had that, I'd paint it because I got a paint shop. I could make it beautiful." Next thing you know, he's giving you $1,500 and his keys and dropping his car off so you can get started. Happens all the time. I've done it 100 times. You have to know how to sell. Approach people, know what to say, when to say it, how to say it, know how to size people up so that you're kind of qualifying the right people and not wasting your time with folks that can't afford what you do or aren't going to be interested in what you do. There's a lot to selling. I'm not going to teach you how to sell. Google it. Watch videos. Read books. There's a ton of stuff out there on becoming an excellent salesman. That is the number one skill in working for yourself, hands down. Another thing is, if you're going to stay in one spot, you have to protect your reputation. That means that you don't ever, if it's within your power, let your customers leave unhappy. If you promise something will be done at a certain time, you make sure it's done at a certain time. If you give them a realistic expectation of what you're going to deliver at the end of that job, that should be what you deliver, because the word will get around very fast if you do what you say you're going to do. The world is full of flakes who promise blue sky and give you a muddy stick because they just can't ever keep their word. And that's why shops have such a bad reputation. If you just keep your word and you produce a decent product, you're going to get repeat business, guaranteed, because so many people don't do that. Protect your reputation. That is a huge, huge, important factor in long-term business success. So you have skills, you're staying in one spot, you think you're ready to do it. Next thing, do you have the tools? Do you really have what you need to do that business? The means of production are critical. You have to slowly start picking these things up. How many people are in a position to just go down and say, I need a $50,000 loan to buy this and this and this and this and this, and get familiar with it and really learn your tools and get your shop set up and do all that at once while you're trying to get business and make your business fly? You're making it hard on yourself. While you have your regular job, start picking up all the tools you need. So if you're gonna paint, you need to get your paint guns, you need to get your sanders, you need to get a good compressor, you need to build a good condenser or something to make sure you don't have water problems. You need to build a room with good light. This was like a great starter room here, but you need to have the means of production. So when you promise the guy I can do the job, you're not making excuses at the end why you couldn't do the job because of this or that or the other, because you don't have what it takes to do the job, right? All right. So start acquiring the means of production. Another thing is, don't go out and get a giant loan to start on this business. And don't go out and buy a new truck. The rule here is do not gamble with credit. Credit makes you a slave to the lender. And if you are so far in debt that you skip a payment, you lose your truck, how sensitive does that make you to any risk that you perceive there is trying to start your own business? You're scared to death. Oh, one bad week, I lose my truck. So don't gamble with credit. Don't go in debt. Try to get all your tools up front. And clearly as you go, and you don't know how many times I've picked up a job just so I could justify buying that extra tool that I didn't have. But you have to have a way to do what you promise. You have to have the tools. You have to have the location. Work on that. You can start now. Take an inventory of what you have, take an inventory of what you need, start with the necessities and work your way into the things that make your job convenient and nice. Another thing you have to do if you really want to work for yourself is postpone your luxuries. This goes right along with not gambling with credit. Why would you go get a big screen TV and a brand new Xbox and a bunch of new furniture and a big riding lawnmower and a ski boat that you're enslaved to the payments? Or even if you bought them cash, that's money you should have invested in your business, and instead you bought a freaking toy that you don't even have time to go and use because you work 9 to 5 and then on weekends you're doing chores and you can't even go enjoy your toys. My point is, postpone your luxuries to after your business is taken off, after you're making money, after you might have a couple employees that are helping keep the ball rolling, the income's coming in, and you don't have to work 60 hours a week. Because when you start your own business, you will work 50, 60 hours a week. You won't hate it like you're punching the clock at a regular job, but you're gonna put the time in, and that's just how that goes. So postpone your luxuries. Another thing that I think people overlook is who they associate with too. If you surround yourself with people that are like, oh, that'll never work, yeah, so-and-so tried it and he failed. Oh, you know what, you're gonna compete with these guys, yeah, that business just went out of business. You know, oh, that's a lot of money. Oh, everybody who quits comes crawling back. All these people that are going to feed you discouragement. Get away from them. You need to surround yourself with people who do work for themselves successfully. Even if it's a landscaper. Who is more free? The kid who dropped out of high school, who's making $3,500 a month mowing lawns, or the guy that's making $3,000 a month with $80,000 worth of student loan debt? And he has to work 50 hours a week to keep his job at the insurance company or whatever. I mean, get real. People who are independent are happier. You can control your life better, and it means an awful lot to be able to achieve that. But you can't do it when you're surrounding yourself by a bunch of negative people telling you that it's not gonna work. And that also goes for surrounding yourself with stoners and guys who are tweakers, always sketching, playing with powder, breaking the law, whatever. You don't want to hang around with trouble. And you don't want to hang around with people who are going to make you lazy or get you involved in habits that are going to undermine what you're trying to achieve. So you need to take an inventory of all of your associations, and you need to give a bunch of them the axe so you can focus. It's like if a guy's going to try to be a bodybuilder, do you really want to hang out with all your friends that want to sit around and watch football and stuff their face with pizza? Not really a good practice if you want to try to be a bodybuilder, right? Same thing, if you're going to start a business, you need to cut back on all the people who might have a negative influence on your ambition to achieve that, okay? So you're getting your business started, and you really need to get regular business, right? So focusing on identifying key people and network with those people so that you get regular business flow. For example, if you're a painter, you really need to make friends with mechanics, because mechanics have already established a customer base who are going to ask the mechanic they trust when they're getting their brakes done, hey, somebody hit me in the parking lot. Who do you know who could give me a good deal and fix that? That mechanic can send them to you because you're not competing with the mechanic. Okay? The mechanic would be more than happy to say, oh, call this guy over here because, you know, he treats everybody pretty good. I hear everyone's happy with his work, and he's going to send you. And he's got 1,000 customers that he can send you if they all need paint work, right? You may not get a lot. You may get a little. You may get a lot. Car lots. If you can make friends with used car managers, they buy and sell used cars all day. If they know they have, for example, a painter, if they know that you're their body guy and you have a shop and you get stuff done quick and your prices are right and you over deliver and he's happy with you, he's going to start going to the auction and specifically buying cars that need a little damage because he can get a good deal on it and he knows that you can fix it for him. So knowing key people is a big deal, because if you know 10 people or 15 people that can send you 2 jobs a month, well, add it up. Add it up. You always get that stray, you know, but if you know where the fishing holes are, and that's the only place you really put your effort, you're going to get a lot more out of your effort. It's also important when you find people like that take care of you. Detailers are another good one too, for example. If you're a painter, detailers run into people all the time. They're doing the inside of the car and they've got the paint coming off. Oh, I know this guy over here. He's a painter. He does all my friend's stuff. He's great. They already use him. They already trust him. You're in. Okay? So what I was getting at that jogged my memory there is spiff your connections. People that send you work, you need to stop by and say, hey, what do you like to drink on weekends? You a whiskey guy or you a vodka guy? Oh no, I like whiskey. Boom, here's a bottle of Maker's Mark. Thanks, bro. You would be amazed what a small gift or a gesture of appreciation and friendship does for a business relationship. It's not about, well, I'll give you X% and make it all about money. Make it personal and spiff your connections. People that make you money deserve for you to show your gratitude. And the more you show, believe it or not, the more they send you. That's how it works. If you're in a business like painting, like I am, it's a rather toxic type of thing. So if you do anything that could have health consequences, it's pretty important that you take care of your health, because if you get sick or you become so toxic and sensitive to what the stuff is that you're around that you can't really do your job anymore, you just cut your own throat. So keep yourself healthy, get your exercise, eat right, don't drink too much, you know, clearly don't be getting high and whatever. Guard your thinking abilities, keep yourself sharp, keep your energy level up. Your performance depends on that, and the longevity of your success depends on that. So keep yourself healthy. That's another thing that people overlook. I know guys who had a business just booming. Next thing you know, the guy's liver's going out because he drank like a fish. So be careful about your health and protect your health. Also, when you're running your business, you know, nobody has it all figured out. And so you have to experiment and you have to try new things from time to time. Don't be scared to try a new marketing technique or go hit up another group or maybe travel. I mean, you got to think it through. It's your business. Do it your way. But the point is, don't get stuck in a rut where you do the same thing. It's like a guy who's played guitar for 10 years and he knows 3 chords. You know, you got to grow. You got to keep getting better, and you have to keep expanding, and you have to keep trying new things, because you sometimes stumble on things that you never even thought of that will blow your mind. You're like, man, if I'd known that 5 years ago, I'd have been doing that all along. How much money would that have made me? Okay, so keep experimenting, and when you learn that something doesn't work, don't keep repeating your mistakes. You know, make a note of something, think it over, and draw the right conclusion. You know, what caused the failure? What caused the problem or the complication? And stop doing that. You know, learn from your mistakes, keep experimenting, especially when it comes to things like efficiency in the shop. You have no idea how much time it can save you if you just ask people, hey, what would save me time doing, like, okay, for example, with me, every time if you get in a spot where you're painting 5 cars a day, you know, or more, okay, you're cleaning your gun a lot. And this guy just told me, why don't you stop cleaning all your cups all the time when you clean your gun and just get the disposable D cups that fit in the anyway, if you know about painting, you'll know what that is. But it saved me so much time. It cost me an extra $1, but man, it saved me so much frustration and time in between mixing paint all the time. Just little things like that. You know, set up a shelf with all your organized sandpaper. Get cabinets to put all your stuff in. Have your tools organized. Have all your drill bits where they go. So you need a shop that's set up where you can find what you're looking for when you need it instead of spending your day wandering around irritated looking for something you can't find. Okay, so be organized, and that goes right along with experiment with what works best and learn from your mistakes. Okay. And another thing, if you can pull it off, which I couldn't for a long time, is don't rent. Don't rent your shop and don't rent your house. If you can especially buy a piece of property with a house and a shop, you're way ahead of the game. Rent is a huge part of your overhead. And if there's any way, when you start considering how much money you can make starting small and keeping things quiet and keeping things clean so you don't even look like you're running a business and you just be professional. You know, if you're working out of your place and you have neighbors within 100 yards, I mean, don't make a bunch of noise at night. You know, don't have all the lights on. Don't have people racing through your driveway, you know, all hours of the day and night. But if you can keep your business where you live and you can buy where you live instead of rent, you are so far ahead of the game. It's important. So just one more thing to think about. So these are just about a dozen ideas that I know that over the time that I've spent working for myself, doing different things and relocating, have made a big difference. And so maybe some of this will be useful to you. Maybe there's something there you hadn't thought of. Hey, maybe you already heard all of it and more. Maybe you should, you know, put a comment in there if there's something I'm leaving out, because, you know, I'm always about learning something. But the truth is, people who don't leave their jobs often don't leave because they're scared to leave, and they're scared to leave because they don't have a good plan. So you need to consider all these things, take inventory of what you have, make an exit strategy, start lining up the business, the jobs before you even jump out on your own. Work on the side until your side money makes the same. You know, when your side money is the equivalent of your weekly job, your regular day job, quit your day job. Put all your effort that you're giving your employer and focus on your own business. And if you know what you're doing and you have a plan and you're willing to take advice from people who are also good, I promise you, you can be free. Your family will appreciate it more. You will enjoy it more. You can make more money. You'll feel like you have more control over your life. You don't have to deal with the commute because, well, that's all circumstantial. That depends on, but I'm just saying there's a lot of benefits to being free, and a lot of people talk about doing it and they never do it because they don't have the courage to do it. And it does take a little bit of courage. First time you do it, it's kind of scary, you know, but if there's no reason to be scared, then courage doesn't even come into play, does it? Courage and fear are brothers. And when you're about to do something that feels risky, of course, there's some anxiety associated with that, but the rewards are worth the attempt. And if you fail, then you have to go back to your other job. Okay, go back and figure out what you did wrong and do it again. And do it again. And eventually you learn. It's like picking a lock. Eventually you learn all the lessons you need to learn. I remember there was a study where there was about a dozen guys who became millionaires when they were young, and they were trying to figure out what the common ingredient was. And they all had different backgrounds, different industries, different education levels, and different financial support, you know, in their plans, you know. The thing that they all had in common was that they had all failed or filed bankruptcy or had to start over and just fell on their face a dozen times. So keep that in mind. You know, you may crash and burn the first time, but if you want to be free of an employer and run your own life, and think about the things you can do for your family. You could employ relatives, Some people say that's bad policy, but it depends on your relatives, right? And it depends on your relationship. But you have a lot of options that you don't have when you're an employee. So consider that, and good luck. I have a couple other ideas I'll share later, but that's pretty much all I have to say today. So have a good one. Take care, man.